Ready? Ready.
What's up, guys? It's Pick'em with HuddleGG, and welcome back to another episode of Ask Huddle. If you guys are new here, this is a series that we do each week where we answer your guys' questions. So if you have a question you'd like answered in a future video, wherever you're watching this, just make sure you leave that question in the comment section below. You can also join our free Discord by going to HuddleGG/Discord, and you can ask us questions in there also. Again, appreciate you guys being here. Let's dive into this week's episode, and our first question today comes from EpicDude28, and they ask, what's the best way to spend your AP on offense and defense? So if you guys are newer to Ultimate Team or don't understand what AP means, it's for your ability points, and when you are in Ultimate Team, you're going to have 15 available on the offensive side of the ball and 17 available on the defensive side of the ball. So you can't just add every ability that you want. You do have to play within those parameters. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, it does, honestly, with both offense and defense, is going to come down to the type of scheme that you run. But I really think putting your AP on specific players is really important to making sure that you get the most out of it. And on the offensive side of the ball, I would highly recommend putting it on your quarterback and your offensive line. Now, you can see here for me, I have Gunslinger on Caleb Williams. That's the only ability I'm running on him. And then I put the rest of my AP points on my offensive line. I like to put it up the middle here with my guards and my center. I like to step up into the pocket, and I want to make sure that they are going to hold their blocks the best. But if you like to roll out more, you like to get to the edge more, you can always put it on your tackles. What I am running on my guards is going to be pass protector, and then I also have identifier on David Edwards here. So again, pass protector on both guards, and then I'm throwing in an identifier. And then at my center position, I do have secure protector on him, which is going to help a little bit more in the run game than obviously a pass protector ability will. Now, when it comes to X factors, I do always run one on my quarterback, and then I run one on my running back. I like Freight Train. I think it's the best one. Now, obviously, you have to activate that in game, so these aren't ones that you just will have the entire game. You do have to activate them to get them to work. And then you are going to see that a receiver that you attack with a lot, it could be a tight end as well. I have Yakum up on Stephon Diggs here. It means he's going to break that first tackle after he catches the ball if he gets in the zone. But again, these are 0 AP for the X factors because they are things that you have to activate in game. It's not just something that you have for free throughout the entire game. Now, when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, what I want to do is I want to put the focus of my AP on my secondary and my defensive line. Now, with your defensive line, the only ability I would highly recommend right now is double or nothing. I wouldn't really look at run stopping abilities. I wouldn't really look at something like edge threat, interior threat, anything like that. Double or nothing is going to be the best ability for you on the defensive side of the ball, and it's going to do a great job at beating the blocks both in the run and the pass game. So it's not just for the pass game. You can get some nice sheds in the run game as well with double or nothing. You can see that I have it on Milton Williams and Devon Godshaw here on my team, which is going to be 5 total AP. And then in the secondary, you can either run a zone KO or pick artist. I am running 4 mid-zone KOs. So you're going to see Cole Bishop, my safety, Jalen Hawkins, my safety, and then 2 of my corners, Tyreek Stevenson and Randy Moss, are all have mid-zone KO on them. It's not really going to help as much with the KOs like it has in years past, but it is going to be something that really helps the break on the ball and the reaction time when the ball is thrown in their area, which is the reason why I have it there. And then I have my last AP on Lurk Artist on Cam Newton, which is going to be my user. Now, Cam Newton's a great option here for this ability because he's the only player. I don't know if he's the only player, but he's one of the few players that gets Lurk Artist for 1 AP, which is going to be very, very effective. It's going to be essentially Lurker and Pick Artist in one ability. So obviously having that on your user over the middle is very, very helpful. So again, you can throw Pick Artist on your secondary if you don't want to run mid-zone KO. You can also look to put deep zone KO on some of your safeties if you would prefer that ability. But when it comes to your defense in general, we want to put it on our pass rush. The guys that you have rushing the passer, you want double or nothing. And then you want to get as many zone KOs. Again, I prefer mid-zone over anything else, but deep zone on your safeties isn't bad as well. Deep out zone on your outside corners isn't a terrible ability, but I think mid-zone just encompasses a wider area of the field. So again, make sure you get as many of those on the field as you can. If you don't want to go with the zone KOs, you're going to want to go to those pick artists just to allow you to get more of those turnovers. And then lastly, I will talk about, I know it wasn't in the question, but your special teams, you do get you get 3 AP available on special teams. Highly recommend putting it all on your kicker. I would not put it on your punter at all. And then what I'm going to use is I actually like the Zen kicker ability, which is going to slow that kick meter down on any kick over 45 yards. I know some people like the ice the kicker, where you are unable to get iced. I think this year it's a little easier to make ice kicks. But if that meter is moving really fast on something like a 58, 60-yard field goal, it can be a little bit difficult to make sure your accuracy is appropriate there. So with your kicker, I like the Zen kicker more so than I like the ice. But if you want to go ice, you can definitely put that on them as well. Like I said, I would highly recommend not putting any AP on your punter, focusing it all on the kicker. And again, if you guys want to make sure that you understand what the best abilities are in the game, make sure you always check out the ability tier list we have here on HuddleGG. Again, we go through and rank each ability throughout the year and make sure that you guys understand what the most effective ones are and which you really shouldn't be using. And that's really important because no matter what scheme you're running, it's not always going to be the same abilities that you want out on the field, right? This is how I run my team. You may want something like quarterback playmaker, which is a really effective ability. It just doesn't fit the way that I play. So make sure you check out that ability tier list as well throughout the year to make sure that you understand what abilities are the best and which ones should be seeing your field and which ones should not. Our next question today comes from JR, and they ask, do double moves work anymore in Madden versus cover one? Now, this is a great question because this is a route that we used to utilize a ton in previous years' Maddens against defenses like cover one. It does not work as effective as it has in years past, but there is still a way that you can get it to work. And what we want to do is utilize one of a few abilities here. So it depends where your out and up is coming from. So if we look at the play here that I have, you can see that my out and up is to the B receiver here, but he's more in a slot position because we're in tight open. It's more of a compressed formation. So we're going to want to have either short in elite, we're going to have slot-o-matic, or route technician. Now, if he was outside the numbers, let's say that you had a formation where this guy was out wide like this, then you would want to either have short out elite or you would want to have route technician on him. But obviously slot-o-matic and short in would not work the same on an outside receiver as it would an inside receiver. Now, when it comes to this ability as well, they don't always light up anymore, right? So EA changed the way that abilities work this year where they're more of a 50-50 chance. But the good thing is you can actually see it lighting up on the field as well. So what we want to do is in a play, you want to make sure you have multiple man-beating routes, especially if you're trying to go over the top of something like a double move. It's not always going to activate. It's not always going to work. So you need to have another option if that is not open. So on a play like this, we would, let's just say we streak the Y, put some drags on the field and a Texas from our running back, right? Texas routes do a good job of beating man, so do drags. Now what we want to do is we want to pay attention to the B receiver and we want to see if the star underneath of him, see if it lights up on the first break. If it does, it means he's going to win that route. Now, we may need to run this a couple of times to show it, but again, that's what we're looking for. If we don't see it light up, that's when we look to throw to either our drags or to that Texas to the running back. So if we say hike here, you're going to see it is going to light up there. So we now know that that's going to beat it over the top and we can throw that ball right there and get ourselves the easy completion. So again, as soon as we see that star light up, that tells us everything that we need to see. And when we see that, again, that tells us that we are now going to be able to throw this because it means he's going to win on that break. And you can see we have the separation here. Just throw it away from that safety in the middle of the field and get yourself the big play down the field with a possible one-play touchdown. Now, I do want to run this a few times just to show you that it's not always going to activate. Okay, so if we just run this again here, you can see that time it did not activate. So he's not going to get open. And that means that we want to throw it to one of our other man-beating routes on the play. Right, so again, it's not always going to activate the way that they have ability set this year, but you can see that with the star underneath the player. If it doesn't light up, again, you can see, obviously in replay here, we're not going to see the star, but you can see it while you're actually playing. But when we saw that this did not light up on this break right here, it tells us that he's not going to win on the route over the top. As you can see, he does not, right? So this isn't a throw that we would want to make here, but we know that because that route or that star underneath the player is not lighting up. So that's when we look to hit one of our underneath players, whether it's the drag. Here we blocked our running back, but if you send him on a Texas, that's another option as well. But this is the importance of having multiple routes on a given play that's going to give you the ability to beat man coverage, because if your one route doesn't beat man, you can't just sit there and take a sack. You need to make sure that you have a second or a third option. But again, you still can, to answer the question, still can beat it with a double move. Obviously, having certain abilities is going to be very, very helpful for you. But the great thing is we can see if it's activating or not, and that's when we can get our eyes quickly to our second and third reads on the play. Our next question today comes from Dondre, and they ask, can you explain cover 3 Buzz Mable? Now, this is a really good question. And first, we're going to come out in a cover 3 Buzz Mable call, and we're going to look at what the difference is between something like cover 3 Buzz, cover 3 Sky, cover 3 Cloud. And the key to the differences in these different play calls is going to be that word after the 3, right? So the Buzz, the Cloud, the Sky, and that first letter of that word is telling us who's playing the flat. Okay, so if we look at any cover 3, you're going to have your nickel playing one of the flats, but then you're going to have obviously a flat to the other side of the field. Now in cover 3 Buzz, that's telling us that a backer is going to be playing that flat. Okay, so you can see here, Gronkowski's one of my linebackers. He's going to be playing the flat to the other side. Now, if we audible to something like cover 3 Sky, you're going to see that to the left, we still have our nickel, who is the flat defender. Now, to the right side, we're going to have our safety as the other flat defender. Okay, so Sky is for safety, Buzz is for backer. And then if we go to something like cover 3 Cloud, you're going to have your corner is the other flat defender. Okay, so Cloud, corner, right? So that's just that's how it's going to tell us who's going to be playing that flat to the opposite side of the nickel corner. It's just based off of how the name or how the play is worded, right? So again, cover 3 Buzz, the backer is going to play the flat. Cover 3 Sky, the safety is going to play the flat. Cover 3 Cloud, the corner is going to play the flat. Now, when we go to a cover 3 Buzz Mable, when it comes to Madden terminology, Mable is telling us that we're going to be having match coverage with this play. Okay, we do have play calls that are cover 3 Buzz, and I'll show you one here in a second. But cover 3 Buzz Mable, you're going to see again, we're going to have the backer be the flat opposite of the slot corner. We're going to have the safety on the slot corner side dropping into the hook. Obviously, the opposite safety going to the deep middle, but you can see the flat defenders here are going to be seam flat defenders. So this is telling us that this is a matching coverage play. Now, if we go to a different formation here, because we don't have it in nickel 2-4, but if I go to 3-3-5 penny here, and I go to cover 3 Buzz, because we just have a normal cover 3 Buzz here in this formation, you can see that, again, the backer is still going to be our opposite flat defender here. But what you're going to see is those flat defenders are now curl flats. And if it's a curl flat, it's telling us that it's a spot drop zone coverage. If it's a seam flat, it's telling us that it's going to be a matching style coverage. Now, if we go back to the cover 3 Buzz Mable, we've talked about on the channel quite a few times how cover 3 match works in general, but just a quick overview. If you have both players going vertical to one side of the field, the number 1 and the number 2, and it's a spread out set, right? If this is something like bunch or something like tight slots, things like that, it's just going to play more like a cover 3 zone drop. You're not going to get the matching principles. But you see here to the left side of the screen, we have both the outside and the inside receiver going vertical. So what's going to happen is you're going to see the corner, the outside corner here is going to match the vertical to the number 1 receiver, and the seam flat's actually going to match the corner route and play man-to-man on him, because the seam flat is going to cover anything out and up as long as number 1 is going vertical. Okay, so what you're going to see here is if I just get on a defensive lineman here to get myself out of the way, if they run a route combo like that to the left side of the screen, you're going to see, or what you should expect, is them to match the 2 routes. And you can see that that seam flat does a great job of matching that corner route, because again, it is either going out or up. And actually here it's doing both. It's going out and up. So you can see again, he's just going to match this, and he actually plays with really good leverage to corner routes to the slot receivers here, and that route is completely taken away. And we also have the matching coverage here to the outside receiver. Now, if they would do something like this, where they put that outside guy on a post, and then we still have a corner from the inside, you're still going to get that same matching principle, because both of these guys are going vertical, or mainly number 1 is going vertical and number 2 is going out or up, right? So if we say hike here, you can see that they're going to match, and you can see the corner is actually going to follow that post. He's not just going to zone off that area of the field. So you can see that the match is activated on that play. Now, if they would do something like this, where the number 1 does not go vertical, that seam flat is going to zone off in that area of the field more so. He's not going to match the corner route anymore. Okay, so you see here, he's not matching that corner. Now, he's still going to play underneath it and play pretty well against that corner route, but he's not playing man-to-man anymore, because the rules have changed, because the outside receiver ran underneath quickly. As you can see here, that cancels the match for both this guy and our seam flat. Okay, so you see here, the seam flat is going to be in a decent spot to defend the corner still, but he's not running and matching to that all the way down the field. Okay, now, the same thing is going to apply if that inside receiver runs underneath quickly. Let's say they're running something like this. The seam flat is not going to follow the drag all the way across the formation. Okay, so he's going to see that guy's not going out or up. I am no longer responsible for him. I'm just going to zone off into my area of the field. So if we look at the replay again, you can see he notices this receiver. His responsibility is not going out or up. Okay, so out to the sideline or vertical down the field. So he's going to just zone off and cover his area of the field. Now, if they would do that same route combo, but they go to the flat, and then they have the streak, you're going to see, because that receiver is going out or up, obviously a flat is going out, you're going to see that he is going to match down to that, and he is now in man-to-man coverage on that flat receiver. So again, that's just a brief overview of how these seam flats and how these outside corners are going to play in a cover 3 match. Obviously, it is more detailed. Different formations change a bunch of different things. And obviously, your hook curls get involved as well, but there's just a lot that goes into one match coverage play in this game, depending on, again, formation, route combination, all of that. But that's a general rule of what you're going to see. But again, when it comes to the name itself, what is cover 3 Buzz Mable? It's going to be a matching form of cover 3 where our linebacker is in the flat zone opposite of that slot cornerback. Our last question for today comes from Woody, and they ask, is it better to run man or zone coverage in general? And also, how do you adjust your secondary? So let's first tackle the second part of that question of how to adjust your secondary. Now, what to adjust them to is really completely dependent on what your opponent's running, so I can't really answer that question here, but how to adjust them is going to be one of 2 ways. You can either click onto an individual player. So let's say that we want to switch this safety to an inside quarter, right? Let's say that he's in this deep half and we don't want him to be in a deep half. You can click onto the player and you can push the A button or X on PlayStation, and you're going to see that your assignments now pop up here in the bottom left. And this is going to give us the option to put him on different zones. We can man him up. We can do different things with him, right? So let's say that we want to do an inside quarter. That's just going to be flicking the right stick to the right. And now if we look at our player, you can see that he is now in an inside quarter. You can do that with any of your DBs. You can do this with anybody on your defense, to be honest. But in terms of secondary, if we click on this outside corner here, we push the A or the X on PlayStation, you can see that we now have the adjustments for this player. Now, what adjustments are available to you is dependent on what position you are changing, right? So your outside corners are going to have different adjustments than your slot corners. We're going to have different adjustments from your linebackers and your safeties and your linemen. All of them have their own unique adjustments based off the position they are on the field. Now, when it comes to a quick way that we can adjust this, so if I set my defense back to a normal cover 2, and let's say that I'm on this middle linebacker and I don't want to click back to the different players, you can start to use what's called quick adjustments. And this is something I highly recommend if you want to take your defense to the next level, because it's going to make it a lot easier and quicker for you to adjust your defense in the way that you want. And again, just spending time in practice mode can get you better at this. What we want to do is, if we're on this middle linebacker, we're going to push Y to bring up our coverage adjustments, and then we can do Y again for quick adjust. And then you can see that icons are going to pop up above our DB's heads. Okay, so you can see that left of screen safety is LB. If I push LB, it's now going to pop up that same exact menu here where I can put him on that inside quarter by flicking that right stick to the right, and you can see we got him in that adjustment. And let's say I want to do the other safety as well. You can see that I'm able to adjust that other safety to an outside quarter. And let's say that our outside corners I want to put on soft squats. You can see I just put them on soft squats that quickly without moving over to the player. So it may seem like obviously it's a few more buttons to push, but it's going to be much quicker because you don't have to navigate to them here before the snap. So if I reset the play here real quick, you're going to see I'm going to adjust both of my safeties into inside quarters, and I'm going to adjust both of my outside corners into, let's say, hard flats for this play. Okay, so what's going to happen here, I'll show you just how quickly I can do it so you understand once you get the hang of this, it is going to be something that, again, it is going to save you some time. So I come on this play, let's say I want to make adjustments. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, and I've just adjusted 4 people that quick. And you can see, obviously, you look at the play art, we now have both safeties in the inside quarters, and we have the hard flats on the outside corners. Now, let's say I want to go back and I want to quick adjust. Now, obviously, you can always reset your play, but I just want to show you, we can go here, we can go here, and I was just able to adjust everybody back to what they were to begin with, those 4 players, in just a matter of seconds. So again, quick adjustments is very, very effective to making sure that you can adjust your team appropriately before they can hike the ball. So make sure you get into practice mode and work on that. Now, the last thing we want to talk about in terms of adjusting your secondary is if you push the Y button like we did, you're going to see that we actually can just adjust the entire defense, right? So we can shade, which is going to be your right stick there. You can shade over the top, outside, inside, or underneath. You can also move them, so you can press them, you can give cushion. So if we press them, you're going to see that the players are all going to press all at once, so you don't have to do it individually. If we want to back off, we can push up on the left stick, and you're going to see that they're all going to back off. And then we can also show specific coverage shells. So if we want to show a cover 3, we can push it to the left, and you can see we now have that one high look. Now, it is messed up a little bit because we've already adjusted things. So if I just switch my play here, and let's say that I want to go to a show cover 3. You can see that we now have that one high safety look. So if we're looking at it like this, looks like we're in a cover 3 defense. But if we look at our actual play art, we're still in that cover 2. And you could do the same thing. Let's say that we come out in a cover 3, right? And now let's say that we want to show a cover 2. You're going to get the 2 high look, as you see here, with the outside corners playing with that cover 2 alignment. But now we're going to have that cover 3 coverage on the back end. So those are the different types of things that you can do when it comes to adjusting your secondary, whether it's individually or as a whole. Now, when it comes to what defense is better to run, man or zone, that's not really a question that I can answer entirely. I do think that it plays, or it goes into what skill level you're at. The lower skill level, the easier it is to run man coverage successfully. So if you're playing, again, I don't know where your skill level is at, and it doesn't matter where your skill level is at, but if you are a lower level to intermediate level player, playing cover or playing man coverage could be more beneficial for you because it's easier to set up. You don't have to make a lot of adjustments. You obviously have somebody responsible for everybody on the field, so there's not really any open holes. And a lot of people at those levels don't understand really good man beating concepts. And if you have a good user over the middle of the field, you're going to be able to really slow people down. But the higher level players that you start to play against, you need to start playing more zone. It's not that you can't play man coverage at all against higher level players. You still want to mix it in and make them think that it is a possibility. But in general, you want to play more zone against higher level players and mix in the man coverage. And if you are playing lower level players, you can definitely still play that same mindset where it's zone mixing in man here or there. But you do have the opportunity to play more man heavy defenses, in my opinion, the lower level that you play. Now, there are a few high level players that play a lot of man, but it is very difficult to implement, in my opinion. So again, it's not really a black or white answer where it's, hey, you can just do this no matter what, or this defense is better. It does depend on your skill level, and you do want to mix it up entirely if you want to be the best defensive player you can be. And if you guys are looking to get even better at Madden or college football, make sure to join our free Discord by going to HuddleGG/Discord.